back to my channel. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and or viewing me. I'm coming to you today to talk about interracial relationships. Now, of course, you probably know someone who's in an interracial relationship. Maybe you're in an interracial relationship. But I want to talk about interracial relationships involving African American women and, let's say, an African man. Yes, that'd be me. I'm in one of those. So I would like to say, first and foremost, from my African American community, it is very hard for some people who are totally like pro-black to accept when you like move out of the element of your norm. And when I began dating and trying to figure out exactly what it is that I wanted to do, it was kind of hit and miss. I already knew I wanted to do my own thing or kind of figure out what it was that I wanted. I just didn't know exactly what. So I began dating a fella in 2018. We went on a date or three, something to that extent. And he was nice. Like, we were vibing. Everything was great, right? And then he moved in to try to kiss me. And I told him, no, not right now. And because I said that, I guess he thought I didn't like him. And so he went ahead and moved on with himself. And I met him again a year later. Fast forward a couple years after that, let's say like 3. Now, you know, he put a ring on it. But in between that time of figuring out exactly what we wanted, it was a lot of confusion. I mean, a lot of stares. Like this kind of, when we're going in the store. Like, that's the look of, wait. So Africans are very, very smart, right? Very intuitive. And they know when they spot one of their own. But when they spot one of their own, they quickly look to see who the person's with. And if it doesn't look like one of their own, trust me, they know. And so all those looks meant like, wait, we know she's African American, but he looked African, you know, and it's a whole lot of that. We would get that all the time, you know. Now we laugh at it because people who come here from other countries, they're still trying to get their feet in the water, trying to figure out what they want and what they're doing. So it's very interesting to them when they see one of their own stepping outside of the culture and doing things that they're normally not used to seeing being done. So things like the way that he likes food made, you know, me growing up is cornbread, collard greens, neck bones with rice or whatever, red beans and rice. It's a little different for the African community. Not much different though. Like, we use cornmeal for cornbread. They use cornmeal for their meals as well, only it's just made differently. For my husband, it's called shima. So, and again, he's from Zambia. So those are the things that I had to get used to. Another thing is this whole like seniority thing and your like, not ancestors, right? But I'm meaning like elders. So if there's a problem, they are used to going to, let's say, someone elderly to kind of talk about the issues and kind of figure it out. And most of the time it's of the same sex. So if you're a male, you're going to go to other males, you're going to talk to them. And a lot of the times in the black community, if you tell them your business, it's going to be all over town. So most of us don't go to an elder. Also, it would be things like, I felt a lot of times that I was trying to show the community of his that I was okay, I'm cool. Because I don't know what the word is all around town, all the way to Africa, but it's like almost a red flag if you want to date someone of African American descent and you're African. I don't know why. We're almost the same. Not quite, but almost. I consider it an interracial relationship because I speak English and took 3 years of Spanish in high school. That's about as good as it gets. And I ain't gonna tell y'all my age, but it was some years ago. My husband, on the other hand, he speaks like 8, 9, 10, a lot of languages that I don't speak. So that's something else that's different for us. He does speak English fluently, so that's why we connected, because of the English language. But, you know, I want to try to learn some of his stuff, but that's a whole nother segment. Also, things that I endured was African women aren't so nice. No offense, sis. If you're an African lady and you're watching this is no disrespect to you. I'm only talking about my encounters. A lot of it is kind of like, oh, hi. Oh, yeah? He dating her? Okay, hi. You know, that kind of thing. Now, I didn't feel a whole lot of welcoming. However, on the women that do welcome, oh, them sisters welcome. They're like, hey, come here. Come over here with us. Girl, come sit down. Come have a drink. Whatever. And it works out perfectly fine if you find some of those kind of ladies. But it's kind of hard. Some things, like maybe when the way that he responds to things when it comes to us maybe having like maybe a disagreement, I do things a lot differently than he would. Like, he's one of those, he wants to just go off, he wants to walk, he wants to just figure it all out. And I'm one of those, like, I want to talk right now. That might just be a woman thing in general, but I find that was one of our challenges as well. Also, just, I mean, it'd be very small things. They weren't very big things. Like, yes, it's an interracial relationship, but we're very much so human. Most of us have the same kind of feelings as of the next, you know? So we found a lot of common ground between the both of us. One of those situations were, so in his culture, if a lady lays at the foot of the bed, it's almost kind of saying like, hey, this is a thing, we're having a argument, this may be like the end of the relationship kind of thing. And for us, here I go, this is me. It's hot, right? One night it's hot and I'm like, oh my God, it's hot. So, you know, when you're laying next to someone, you sticking to them, they sticking to you, you're like, oh man. So I lay at the foot of the bed. Do you know when I woke up, homeboy was mad, okay? He was mad because he said that it was disrespectful in his culture. And that wasn't something that I was used to. I just thought, it's hot, I'm gonna lay at the foot of the bed. I didn't look into it more, but there's some things that I have to be very upfront and upcoming to when it comes to like him and his feelings and things of the culture, you know. Also, when we wanted to get married, it was like a whole lot of, you know, we have to wait kind of to see if everybody's in agreement. A lot of people from back home had never met me, and that was a big thing, you know. Well, who am I to marry this guy? Nobody knows me. I'm just an African-American girl from wherever. And that's kind of how they were looking at it. So we kind of had to jump through some loops for that until all the way we went ahead and went and did it ourselves. No friends, no family, no anything. Because the support was very questionable amongst people. And we just had to just kind of do our own thing. At that time, that made me respect him more because it was like I knew he was going against whatever cultural ways that however everyone thinks. And that was cool to me. I was all right with it. As far as my side goes, again, I'm African American. You know, we moved to beat our own drum, so I could care less if anybody came or not. Again, but when you're in the marriage anyways, it's just you and that person, so none of that completely matters. Anywho, so what I would encourage people to do if they're in an interracial relationship is first and foremost, make sure your foundation is together. Foundation is like number one. If you guys are not on the same accordance, if you guys are having issues where you're not like talking, it's very, very easy for people on both sides to get in your mix. If you don't have a lot of supportive people in your corner, and most likely you know who's dramatic in your family or your circle of friends before you start dating somebody or even during and after, keep those people at bay. Because if not, they can stir up a lot of ruckus and then you'll be like how we almost were a few times, like, you know, getting the breakup signs and whatnot. Even though we didn't do it, a couple of times we came close just based off of cultural differences and people and comments. I mean, we've been to functions together where people didn't want him to date me anymore. So then they got to the point where they weren't even speaking to him. I mean, it got that deep. And again, it's all based off of this. I'm quite fond that they were very excited if he was in the mood to, let's say, step outside of the race and maybe go with someone a little bit more light. Not me, of course. But that's not what he did. You know, he likes the chocolate. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know why we get a bad rap as black women, but we are some of the most hardest working, respectable, and we care about ourselves and our man, if you will, when we're with someone. So those were things that other cultures had to get used to. People on my side would make comments like, "Oh, he's gonna take you to another country. We won't see you anymore." You know, little comments like that. That man had to go through hell to get over here. There's no way in hell he was gonna take me somewhere and kidnap me, let's say. So you have to deal with people's ignorance, if you will. And that's never fun. But we had some cool moments as well. We went to visit family in Georgia of mine, and they were quite interesting because some of them had never met a person from Africa. So it was very interesting to them to talk to my husband, and it'd be more so like, "Oh, so where you from? What do y'all eat? Oh my goodness." Those kind of things. So yeah, just get used to a bumpy road, if you will. I've seen a lot of forums on here, or posts rather, that says like it's probably cooler or maybe like better to date other races or whatnot. And the fact is that every race has issues. Every race has good people and every race has bad people. It doesn't matter. But things you, like I'm saying, to date an African man and be a black woman, there's different things that you will endure in dating in general.